a great challenge this week, one we're excited about, playing at home. We screwed 2 games up earlier in the year, and when you do that, you put yourselves in situations. So I don't talk about playoffs normally and championships and all that because I think it really doesn't matter. It's about how you prepare and how you play. But I told our players, because they hear it all the time, you still have that stuff alive. And in my opinion, anybody that's going to win it is going to go through Georgia, going to have to go through Georgia at some point. They're the premier program in college football. Outside of Alabama, they won 51 straight games. And let me repeat that, 51 straight games, not non-conference, not, that's 51 including playoffs, straight games, which it's got to be some record in the history of football to win 51 straight against everybody but one program. So, and they're loaded as always and playing really well. Went into Texas, who was the number 1 team, and beat them. So this is a big challenge for us, and we've kind of put ourselves in a playoff situation for 2 games in a row now. And so this would be the 3rd one in a row that we would need to win to keep on pace for that.
Questions?
Lane, I know a lot of what you guys did in the offseason in terms of roster construction was based on games like the Georgia game last year. Do you feel like this roster is in a better spot than the 1 year ago for a game like this?
I hope so. That game didn't go very well a year ago. But every game, season's independent and different. And I think we're in a better place. But these guys, again, get the best high school players every year. Got more draft picks than anybody else because they do a great job recruiting and a great job developing the players once they're there. So when you look at this, they're all over the field as always, when you look at the tape. And really, again, that one program, with a miracle half of Michael Vick showed up. And I just watched the film this morning and looked like on a field of everybody that was big and fast, he was faster than everybody. So, and that's the only game they lost. With all that happening, they still came all the way back and took the lead at Alabama. So this is a great football team with great coaches and great personnel. So I said they won 51 straight games. Last time they lost besides Alabama was COVID to the Florida Gators. So, it says a lot about what a great job he's done.
Lane, Parrish injured against Arkansas, didn't come back. Notice he's not listed on the depth chart. Where's the running back room right now in your eyes?
Yeah, we're going to need some guys to step up. That's a big loss for us. He'd done well this year with the ball and in protection. So it is what it is. People face injuries and teams face adversity, and that room's facing it. So I need you guys to play well.
Having a chance to look at film, and obviously, Dart hadn't had his best play against SEC, but Saturday, obviously, we saw what we saw. What did you see going back to the film that he was excelling at?
Well, his accuracy. He had amazing accuracy Saturday, and really as you look at the plays, basically his only incompletions are throwaways for the most part. A lot of times, even when you play really good games, you come out like afterwards and you feel afterwards, well, what if this receiver wouldn't have dropped this ball, or if it would have made this throw, then it would have been this, kind of like the South Carolina when we screwed up all the people that were wide open in that game. But this was one of those games, and I don't think anybody dropped the ball, and he really, outside of throwaways, really didn't miss a pass except for there's a overthrow to Juice by a couple yards on a fade.
Going off what Brad asked about the running backs, just how much of a role do you see Thomas playing in the Georgia game, to ask in specific, but the rest of the season?
I don't know. He did a good job when he went in there. He's a very consistent player, so we're going to need that position to play well against a team that most people don't have much success running the ball against them for years. Again, the outlier game's the Alabama game when it was like Michael Vick in college and nobody could catch him. Outside of that, these guys have played extremely well. And some people say on offense, well, they're not used to, and The Kentucky game's an outlier for them. Outside of that, they've scored over 30 points in every game.
Lane, at the end of the first half, I noticed that you were individually thanking a lot of the defenders going into the locker room. Anything specific that the defense did at Arkansas that maybe they didn't do earlier in the year?
I wasn't thanking them. I was just saying, hey, we got another half to do. Let's go. Like, good job. I really liked the way that half ended. By stopping them, the missed field goal, then we go down and score a touchdown, which has not been the case a lot of times in the first half for us. So I just really wanted to keep guys engaged and tell them there's a long way to go here. Even though it's 35-10, we got to come out and play really well.
Having coached with Kirby, that you did at Alabama, I'm sure you expect a lot of pressure from their defense coming Saturday, right?
Yeah, they do a great job. You don't have to pressure, with the D-line so good. And then they do a great job changing it up and really big physical linebackers that pressure. So, and they're really challenging the way that they do it. Look at the first half of the Texas game against the #1 team in the country. So, like I said, they've been doing this for years. This is the elite program in college football. Took over for Alabama's run, and if it wasn't for one program, they'd be on their way to the 4th straight national championship. They'd have 3 in a row, and they'd be #1 right now.
So the pass you threw down to the official there on the sideline, he didn't do a very good job of catching it, but was it throw it a little bit high on purpose, you think?
Yeah, I didn't really watch after I threw it, so I was still frustrated about the no timeout, but so I didn't watch it. He actually jokingly told me he didn't try to catch it afterwards later in the game.
What do you think of Carson Beck?
I think he was very talented, played great, played an amazing game against us a year ago. She's throwing some picks, but quarterbacks go through that, and it's it's a good problem to have. To me, you have a highly talented quarterback like him that can make all the throws, and is throwing some picks. You just got to work through that part, and you got a great quarterback. Versus some people around the country say, okay, well, they protect the ball, but the quarterback can't make the throws. So it's a good problem to have. Like I said, these guys scored 30 in every game and are extremely talented.
Was there something you were able to see, and I guess it would be the Kentucky film that maybe is how you slowed Georgia down, or at least the theory behind slowing Georgia's offense down?
Well, I think when Kentucky's healthy and motivated on defense, they can play great defense, which they've shown. Georgia game, our game, they got a premier player, number 0, that destroys game plans. So I just think they did a really good job against them, and they were healthy, like they were against us. They just haven't been lately. So.
Lane, obviously you coached against Kirby last year, but just what's it like, going against a guy who you used to coach with at Alabama?
I don't. That gets played a lot, I think, in matchups. The coaches, we just coach the game, and it's not like most of the time you're just coaching your team. It's not like you're really going against the other guy play to play, especially when neither of us, are primary play callers. So I think more of that gets made. At the end of the day, it's getting your players to try to play really well, regardless of who you're playing, and also to have really good players, which he's done a great job of. He's a phenomenal recruiter.
How would you evaluate Austin Simmons' performance at the end of that game?
Thought he did a good job, made 3 nice throws, and commanded the offense well.
And talk about Daquan Wright's performance, stepping up for Caden Prescorn, who couldn't go.
Yeah, Daquan had a really good game outside of the penalty, and really did a good job catching the ball and making people miss, and blocked well too. 2 games in a row. All right, guys. Have a good week. Thanks.